A chess hustler presented the following position to a crowd of people, not knowing that there was a cheater in the crowd. The hustler said, here's the position. It's white to play. Black's pawns are moving down the board in this direction. Is it a win for white? Is it a draw? Or is it a win for black? What do you guys think? When he said this, a college student stepped up and after looking at the position for a few minutes said, I think it's a win for black, and here's why. Even though it's white's turn, both of white's knights are being attacked, which means black's going to be able to capture one and get a queen next move, which is a pretty big deal. The only way that I see to stop that is to go knight to b3 check, but that allows the king to take the knight, and again, black is threatening to get a queen. And even though the knight is covering the square, there's another pawn that's going to replace it. Black's going to have a queen, and I don't see any way out of this for white. Now, at this moment, a suspicious-looking character with thick glasses stepped forward. This was the cheater, and he had special glasses that when he looked at a board, it would display off in the corner of one of his lenses the engine line. So he did that. He was looking at the board, and he could see what Stockfish was saying about the position, and he could see that Stockfish was saying it's a draw. So he confidently said, it's a draw, and I can prove it. And I'm so confident that I'll bet $500 that nobody can prove me wrong. And he showed the line, knight takes a2, king takes b1, knight to c3 check. The king's going to move. And he said white simply has to move the bishop somewhere. And even though black can get a queen, white can sacrifice the knight. Of course, white's going to take all the pawns. And the king and the bishop's not enough to checkmate. Therefore, it is a draw. $500 says that nobody can prove me wrong, and he stepped back feeling pretty confident. Now at this moment, an older gentleman stepped forward and looked at the position long and hard for several minutes, and after a while he said, I'll take your bet. I think you're wrong. I think it's a win for white after the move knight to a3. The crowd gasped. Everybody was like, did he just bet $500? It looked like a draw to everybody in the crowd. What do you guys think? Pause the video and let me know. Is it a win for white? Is it a draw or is it a win for black? Who is correct and how does this story end? All right, you had a chance to look at that yourself. So let me finish the story. So the old man said, it's a win for white after knight to a3, and I'll prove it to you. So here is what he proceeded to explain. Knight to a3. Let's think about black's options. Well, the king cannot move. Can't go here. You can't move any of these pawns. They're blockaded, which means black only has two legal moves. You can either take the knight with your pawn, or you can push here and get a queen. Let's start with this one. It looks okay. If white takes, then he's going to recapture, get another queen. But white doesn't take. White has a better move. What is it? That's correct. Congratulations if you found that. Bishop to c3 check forces black to block, only move, and then you can play knight to b3 checkmate. This is a beautiful checkmate, by the way. The queen is pinned. Remember, so the queen cannot move. This pawn cannot take because it's going the other way. The king can't move because it's trapped, so it's just a sort of like a smothered checkmate with the knight. Okay, very good. So going back to the original position, after knight a3, you cannot push the pawn here because of what we just saw, which means black's only move is to take here. But this looks pretty good for black. It's a check. It's forking all the pieces. So of course, white's going to take the queen, right? Wrong. That's not the correct move. If you take the queen, it's a stalemate. Black cannot move here because the bishop, cannot move here because the knight. You can't move any of the pawns because they're all blockaded. It's just a draw. And in this case, the cheater would be correct. But here, the old man said, that's not the move. The move is bishop to c3 check. Now, let's think about this for a second. What's going on here? Well, it's check, so the king has to move, except the king can't move because you can't go there and you can't go there, which means black now is forced to either do one of two things. Take the bishop or play queen to b2. Which one should black do? If you had a chance to look at that, the correct answer is black should play queen b2. And the reason is because if you take the bishop with check, white takes back, and I want you to pay close attention to black's king. You cannot go here because the knight, and you cannot go here because the king, which means your king is stuck in the corner. So the only thing black can do is start moving these pawns. Well, what is white going to do after black does that? You had a chance to look at that. Hopefully you found it. You're not going to take the pawns because you don't care about taking the pawns. You want to get checkmate. And the only way you get checkmate is to bring your king down. Bring your king down. Doesn't really matter which pawn black decides to move. Now that you've totally trapped the king, guess what? The knight can now leave and deliver the checkmate on c2. Wow. That's pretty nice, right? So, just to remind you, that was what would happen if black's queen captured the bishop, right? Okay, so now we can see, well, they're not going to do that. They're going to go queen b2. Now, what does white do? And this is where it starts to get tricky. Right, if you had a chance to look at that. So there's a couple of options for white. Of course, if you take the queen, then the king is going to take. It's attacking your knight, and they're threatening to get a queen. And in this case, you actually lose because you have no way to really stop this. Okay, so that would be a very bad decision. The other thing you could do is throw in a check because the queen can't take you because it's pinned. But after king b1, now you're forced to take it. You have to defend your knight, and after this happens, it's actually going to be a draw. Yes, your king can come up here and take the pawns, but that doesn't really help you. Okay? So, what else can white do? The move is, after queen b2, the move is, wait for it, king to d3. And what white is trying to do here is say, look, you don't have any moves if you're playing as black. Your queen is pinned. So the only thing you can do with your queen is sacrifice here, which we already talked about doesn't really end well for black. You can't move your king because it's stuck, but I'm now giving you a move with your pawn, so it's not a stalemate. And you might think, Nelson, that's great, but what does that have to do with anything? Well, I'm glad you asked. You're going to see. So, of course, this would just transpose to the other line where white walks the king down and checkmates. Okay? So the only thing black can do, c4 check. Okay, great. What does white do now? Get a chance to look at that. The only move, and this one might be hard to understand, but I'll try to explain it in a way that makes sense. The only move for white to win is king to d4. King to d4. You say, what in the world is going on? Well, to understand this, you need to understand why we can't win if we just take the pawn. Okay, so watch this carefully, guys. If you take here, it's kind of the same situation. We're like, okay, black can't move the queen, they can't move the king. Okay, what are they going to do? They're going to push their pawn. What do? Well, we can't take it because of our bishop. So we probably just go back, right? And then, okay, they go check, and we take it, and they push, and we go back, and they push, and finally now we have to take it. Well, we don't have to, but let's just say we do take it. If we do take it, what happens? They take, we take, it's a stalemate. Black has no move, so we don't have time to come down here and checkmate because they have no pawns left, right? Okay, you say, well, let's not take that last pawn. Let's just move our king. Will that work for us? No, because now they take, we take, and again, it's a stalemate. Same thing, they can't move. Remember, they're not in check, but they can't move. Stalemate, that's a draw. It's a tie game, right? Okay, so hopefully now you can see the problem, right? This is why we can't win if we just take their pawn. Going all the way back here, remember, what I just showed you was what happens if we take the pawn, okay? So now that you know that, king d4 is the winning move. So let's see, what did we do here? Well, of course, the queen still can't take us because now they have pawns to move and we come down with our king and we checkmate. So the only move that black can do is c5 check. Okay, now what do we do? Well, we have to keep the king defending the bishop, otherwise we'll lose the game, right? If we try to do something crazy like this, we'll just lose the game, okay? So we have to take on c4. Say, okay, but now black plays c6. What's the deal? What's the deal, Nelson? We didn't do anything different, did we? King d3. Of course, black's going to play c4 check. Okay, fine. What are we going to do? No, don't take the pawn. Don't take the pawn, because if you take the pawn, they just play c5, and then we're back to the same position. We go here, they go here, we take the stalemate. Stalemate trick. King d4 again. Why? They're going to go check. What's the deal? What's going on, right? Watch this. King takes c4. It's the same position that we had earlier, but now it is black's turn. See, the last time we had this position, I don't know if you guys remember this or not, we had done this when the pawn was still back, and they moved the pawn forward, and it was our turn. We're like, well, what are we going to do, right? What are we going to do in this position? But now it's black's turn. And black is the one who's like, well, what am I going to do? I don't know what to do. I have to play this move. I don't want to play this move, but I have to. This is called zugzwang, where you have to play a bad move in a position. If black could pass, they'd be fine, but they can't. They have to take the bishop. And guess what? Because this pawn is still surviving, they push it. We go here. They push it. We go here. They push it. Only move, by the way, because the king and this pawn are stuck. And now we have checkmate. Oh. Beautiful solution. The cheater was shocked. And if you're wondering why his engine didn't see it, it's because the engine has to analyze a further depth, has to analyze longer, and his glasses, I guess, were not sophisticated enough to process that. I don't know. So the computer didn't figure it out right away. That's what happened. And just to make sure you're clear on this, like, let's just do one more time, okay? One more time. When they go here, if you take it right away, watch carefully. They push, we go back. They push, we take, boom. Remember? Black played the move c5, which means we don't have any options. c4, we have to take it. It's a stalemate. But by going king d4 and doing this little dance, king d4, it's black's turn. And this is what gives us the victory. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Obviously, the cheater lost his money. The old man went home $500 richer. Please let me know in the comments what you thought about this puzzle. Thank you guys for watching. And if you enjoyed this, you'll probably enjoy, there's going to be like somewhere over here, this one. See you there. Stay sharp. Play smart. Take care.